Hi everyone, it's Jenny Henderson from Chrysalis Business Support and here with another colleague of mine and an interview to give you some advice and help at this time. So I am delighted today to be joined by Andrew Bradley of Bradley Haynes Law. So welcome Andrew, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, no problem.
Excellent. Andrew is the chairman of Bradley Haynes Law and they are based in Worcester. And Andrew and Bradley Haynes Law specialise in business and property law. Now, I've known Andrew for many, many years through networking. We've networked together. He's in one of my current networking groups. And I have actually used Bradley Haynes Law as well for one of my properties. So I have got first-hand experience of working with the company, and it was a seamless operation and great service that they provided to me. And I've asked Andrew to come and join me on this call today to talk about how things are changing at the moment and what is happening within business and property law and some a little bit of hints and tips and advice that he might be able to offer us at this time. So again, Andrew, really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And I'm loving the giraffes in the background in the home office nowadays. It's always good to have something nice to look at when you're working from home. So tell me what's been going on in your world. How have things changed for you over the last 3 weeks?
Well, you know, a whirlwind just like everyone else, really, ultimately. Yeah, I mean, we were really lucky as a law firm because I set the business up in 2013. So we're fairly young as law firms go. Locally, and what it meant is, you know, over the years I've been, looking to set up structures and procedures, which meant we were very flexible and very agile. So, you know, all of our staff had laptops and phones, and they were able, you know, the day we actually closed the office a couple of days before the government recommended working from home, seeing it coming. And actually everyone was able to just sort of plug in and work from home on the Monday fairly seamlessly. So we're quite lucky with that. I mean, it still has its challenges. We're still adjusting to working in that way. I think the future of legal practice is very interesting, actually, that, you know, once people realise you can work quite effectively in this way. So the management of that was difficult. I think the bigger thing is really how it's affecting some of our clients. You know, I think, we have clients who are quite frankly being decimated by having to shut the doors and basically close their businesses down. And we've also had the knock-on effect in certain areas like conveyancing where clients are in complete limbo. And that's, you know, it's like having an exam question every day for a week or so. You know, how can we vary this contract and make this work that works for all of the chain? You know, some incredible things. And actually, I think, you know, most of the lawyers we work with have shown themselves to be prepared to try and come up with solutions that work for our mutual clients and actually, you know, get through what's, completely unprecedented period, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been challenging, enjoyable, but you know, at the same time, you know, I'm seeing clients in some really difficult situations. So that's not good to see, really.
Yeah, I guess one of the saving graces, if I can use that phrase, is that it's not that it's one sector or one industry or one client. This is, you know, like you said, everybody's having to pull together. Everybody's
Sure.
having to work together for the benefit because it's not just affecting one particular area. This is, you know, one worldwide, but two hitting all industries and all businesses. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a single business that hasn't been affected in some way. And you know, of course, as some of our clients, you know, haven't got available monies for perhaps things that they don't see as urgent, that will affect our business. You know, so it's very difficult for everybody. But you know, obviously, at the moment it's about staying positive and you know, keep driving the business forward and doing what you can, really.
Yeah. And so, what time and how are you coping with, you know, because obviously, you know, I've been to your offices, you know, they're a lovely old building and obviously there's lots of communication going on. How is the communication with your teams and you know, how is that working remotely and keeping in touch with everybody?
It's not as easy as obviously having everyone in the office and just being able to sort of, you know, walk into someone's office and have a conversation with people. But actually, as I say, you know, we were fairly ahead of the games from a sort of technology point of view. We've been able to utilize things like Microsoft Teams very well for sort of video conferencing. We've had a weekly quiz, so trying, you know, keeping in touch, but not talking about work, actually, you know, just trying to keep sort of morale up between the team. And that sort of thing's working really well. So, you know, I think from my perspective, it's difficult because I'm also having to try and keep in touch with clients and make sure clients are okay. I'm very lucky having Jill Waldridge in the business, who heads up our HR department, and she's a director of the business and heads HR, and she will be calling everybody regularly, just making sure they're okay, raising any concerns outside just work concerns. And then for us, it's just regular communication, whether it's email, phone, just trying to make sure everyone's okay, and also having to supervise, junior solicitors and trainees as well within the regulatory framework. So, again, challenging, but, not insurmountable issues.
Good, fantastic. And so what sort of issues have you been seeing with business owners? What sort of areas have you been helping them in? And what sort of tips and advice would you be able to give a business owner at this time that they really need to be looking at, or that they should be more aware of at this time?
Okay, so I think probably the three common things we've seen an awful lot of. One is employment law advice, and to be honest, it's evolving. Generally on Friday night, but certainly evolving week by week. A lot of our clients are having to furlough staff. That's a concept that we've never really worked with, before. So it's getting ourselves familiar with that and being able to advise clients on how that works. Unfortunately, some clients have looked to restructure, and we've had to advise on that. But actually, fingers crossed, so far we haven't seen so much of that, because I think clients are still waiting to see whether there's any loan funding going to be available, whether there's any grant support before they make big picture decisions on redundancy or insolvency, and hopefully the support will be there to avoid those things. So yeah, we've had a lot of questions, I suppose, coming back onto that. We've had a lot of questions on sort of loan funding elements, and particularly one thing I'm talking to a lot of directors about at the moment is their directors' duties for a company that's got financial difficulty. In general terms, you don't have personal liability running a company, but there are certain things you can do which can create personal liability, and if you make bad decisions at this time, it could come to roost in 12 months' time if the business was to subsequently fail. So we've been given lots of advice on that. And the other thing we've looked at, I think this is a time for clients to maybe take a step back and actually look at their structures and business continuity plans. So we've done an awful lot of work with clients on their terms of business, either completely redrafting them or refreshing them, looking at, do they have provisions for what happens if an event arises that's outside of your control that stops you providing a service? You have to refund the deposit in that scenario. I think clients generally, they work at the front end of the terms of business, trying to sort out all the commercial things that go wrong in their sector. But the bits that sit in the back end, all the bits that are probably really boring to most clients, are the bits that are actually the most fundamental, the bits that are actually going to protect them in worst case scenarios. And unfortunately, we've seen a worst case scenario, and a lot of clients haven't had the protection they need. So a lot of clients are doing that well. And I suppose finally, we've been doing quite a lot of work on wills, shareholders agreements, and powers of attorney, and not really with a view to coronavirus issues, but more, I think, people have become more aware that things can happen with a business that are outside your control that can affect it. And this is an opportunity when the phone's maybe not ringing so much to maybe get those procedures and policies in place, so when we go again, they can be comfortable that next time they've got the protection they need. I think particularly with things like terms of business, I think there's going to be quite a lot of uncertainty in the next 9 to 12 months, and not just from the coronavirus point of view, although I think there will be some uncertainty there, but perhaps also for, what happens if a customer of yours goes bust? Are you going to get paid? If you're providing goods, can you go in and get those goods back out again? And those are the issues that our clients need to think about at the moment, for when they come out of this and start trading again with their customers. Have they thought about what happens if things go wrong? So we've been doing an awful lot of work on those type of things, and that's where I see, to be honest, we'll be doing a lot of work for the next couple of months.
Perfect. Yeah, it's almost like the world's had this pause button, isn't it? It's almost kind of like we've slowed down, we've got this pause button, and it's allowing us that space and that capacity just to relook at the foundations, relook at the structures, as you said, and the processes, so that when the play button goes again and the world starts to speed up, everybody's able to take advantage of what it is. And things, I guess, like shareholders agreement and the terms and conditions are, when you're in a busy environment and you're running the business, they're kind of, I'll look at that at another time, that it's not as important, but suddenly something like this happens and the importance rises for it, and you suddenly go, yeah, maybe I should have put that in place, and now's the time to look at it.
Yeah, I think, I suppose as the lawyer, I would say this, wouldn't I? But ultimately for us, our challenge is always about convincing the client of value. And you only really see the value when things go wrong. So things like a shareholders agreement, I mean, virtually every limited company with more than 2 shareholders needs a shareholder agreement to talk about what happens in worst case scenarios. But often, it can be prohibitive financially to get that sorted at the outset, but it really needs to be done. And then it's there when things go wrong. And what you often find is, if you don't have those basic documents in place, that the legal costs down the line are exponential. Sort of 10 times the price that you would have paid for the shareholders agreement to try to sort out an issue that would have been dealt with. So, that's where we often, we try and encourage clients to see the value of what we do. It's very, very difficult as a solicitor because there's preconceptions about lawyers and all the rest of it. But, ultimately we are here to add value and protect businesses and work with businesses, and the clients we work with, we want a long-term partnership with them. And I don't want to see those businesses fail because of some, structural problems that they didn't sort out at the outset when we work with them. So we try and convince all the clients we're working with on a regular basis to sort these things out, and then they can go in the drawer and you can get on with the good bits of running the business, which actually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it.
Brilliant, excellent. That's fantastic. And so that's business owners. So that's looking at their terms of business, their shareholder agreement, their employment law, and obviously those 3 key areas that we're looking at. That on the other side, Bradley Haynes is obviously very well known and very experienced in property. What's happening within the property industry at the moment, and what impact is it having, and what are you seeing, and how are you helping people in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, property is going to be severely affected by this, and yeah, it was interesting because it came very gradually. At first these sort of the working from home and things like that weren't really affecting conveyancing. Conveyance was moving forward. Mortgage offers were there and in place, and we were completing the transactions that we had to complete. And then all of a sudden we had this sort of 2-week period where clients had exchanged to complete and weren't able to complete. I think when Mr. Gove sort of decided he wanted to speak out about it without sort of thinking it through, and that just caused complete chaos, as I say. For a couple of weeks trying to solve solutions, and there were some transactions we've not been able to solve, so they're just on hold or they've fallen through. And we don't want to see that either for our clients or for us. We want to see clients complete their transactions. So that's not been great. And there's no doubt about it. The sort of pipeline of conveyancing transactions at the moment is very limited month on month. When we look at this month compared to a couple of months ago. That said, I've seen really innovative stuff going on between the estate agents, sort of doing virtual viewings and things like that. And actually this week we've started to take a few new instructions on sales and purchases, which is really welcome. And maybe showing that people are starting to look at, well, what happens in 2 months, 3 months time. Be interesting to see how property values are affected. I think that we'll wait and see that. I think that probably most people would think there'll be a drop in property. And it'd be interesting to see how that affects the market. Probably the biggest issue, coming back summarising it, is really about the availability of finance. So, mortgage companies have been making mortgage conditions far tougher to achieve. That's really going to impact on the first-time buyer, who's going to require so much more equity before they can purchase a property. That will affect, consequently, things like new builds, developments and things like that, where first-time buyers, tend to get incentives and buy those types of properties. So we will need to see that mortgage market get back to where it was before conveyancing gets back to where it was. That's straightforward. The buy-to-let side of what we do is actually, as I was saying to a client earlier, our clients are an innovative bunch on the buy-to-let side. So they're looking at opportunities. They're looking to see, what type of deals can be done with property owners, maybe to do delayed completions, exchange now, but complete in 12 months' time. Maybe do some work on the property when they're allowed to. Maybe taking options to buy properties at market value, which is a bit of a win-win for people at the moment. If you're not sure about when you get, what you would sell for, if you could get market value in 12 months' time, would that be something you look at? I think a lot of people would take that. So, as I say, they are an innovative bunch, and we are seeing some transactions sort of going forward, and the more sort of outside the box of standard conveyancing. And I think we will see a growth in that market, to be honest with you.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting actually. There's been a house just round the corner from me, and it's had the foundations laid, but nothing has happened on that house for about 8 months. And yet over the last 3 weeks, all I can hear coming from the windows is the diggers. And obviously whoever owns that plot of land and who started that never either had the finances or the time or whatever to start, to finish it or get to the next stage. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden things have picked up again, and he's now starting to rebuild that house. So I guess, he's obviously hoping in 2 to 3 months time, if he can sit and work on that house and build that, he's using this time now, and he'll have a new build in a couple of months time, of which he'll then be able to get onto the market. So yeah, I guess it's about looking at what opportunities you do have around you.
I think so. I think so, absolutely. And I think they will need to get the economy moving again and this market moving again at some point soon. And there are plenty of clients who are trying to get ahead of the game in that, and I think that's a good thing, and certainly helps us. So so we're keen to work with anyone who's looking at that type of thing.
Excellent. And I keep saying to people about when we get back to normal, but do you think this is you talked about it being a game changer in the legal industry? I need to try and find another phrase, because I don't think we're going to go back to normal. I think this is part of our new normal. I think we do have to sort of move forward. So is it, obviously you don't have a crystal ball, but is there any idea about how you think it might be changing the legal industry? Because obviously it's a long-standing institution that's had its foundations built in, lots of history.
Yeah, I'm probably going to choose my words fairly carefully here. I was going to say something recorded. I don't know. I think the traditional high street practice. I think most high street practices have developed over the last 5 to 10 years. They will all have case management systems in place, but some would still be very heavily reliant on maybe big servers in the office. Just respectfully compared to our firm, because we're ahead of the game on a technology point of view, we have less administrative support within the business, and therefore, we don't have that salary overhead, which is clearly the biggest overhead in any business. So, some of those firms will have that overhead, and then, unfortunately for people who are in that industry and supporting, they may look to work with technology to maybe cut out some layers of cost within the business from an administration's point of view. And to be honest, the market's gone that way for the last 5 years, but it will perhaps bring maybe some of the more traditional high street firms sort of kicking and screaming into that sector as well. And I think that's it, really. Maybe some of those maybe more traditional firms will be forced to find a way to work in a more modern way. And I think that's for the benefit of the client. Protecting data more effectively. A wide range of things, really. I know it's difficult because at the same time, I'm going to know people in this sector, and they're going to be really struggling. And something not disparaging on their businesses, they're very well run. But I think probably the emphasis on technology, is really something that owners of law firms are going to have to look at, whether they like it or not.
And I don't think the legal industry is going to be alone in that. I think, there's a lot of different other, industries that are, really going to have to, see what's happened over the last couple of weeks and how they've had to adapt, and that adaptation has worked for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing is, I love going and seeing businesses, and that won't change. I love going out and seeing factories and seeing what our clients do, because I think you can provide so much better support once you understand that business. But at the same time, the sort of video conferencing and things like that for networking and for winning new clients and talking through new things, I think you can really generate a relationship where previously I would have done that on the phone, and actually it's far easier to do it via Zoom. You book the appointment and everything's done for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, I've been speaking to clients in Australia, in Germany, where I probably had a phone call, where now we're actually sort of talking, on Zoom conferences like they're in your office, really. And I think that's a real positive. Perhaps getting away from the phone, which is kind of a sort of you don't really get that sort of relationship, and moving towards video conference more regularly. And also what I'm finding with things like networking is I'm not having that time in commuting everywhere to sort of meet people, and that means we can be more effective in what we're talking about, and drill down into the detail, and I can do more of those meetings every day. So I think probably as lawyers we'll have to sort of open up to the idea of doing more of that, and being approachable and building relationships with our clients from a visual perspective.
Perfect, wonderful. Oh, thank you. That's great. And just final quick words. Tell me about all the awards that you've been up for recently, and you've been some very successful recently, haven't you, Andrew? In some awards. And I know
Well,
you've not been able to get to collect some of them, but you.
yeah. Well, we haven't won that one yet, but no. I didn't ask for this, by the way. No, well, I mean, I was really fortunate last year. I won Solicitor of the Year at the Worcestershire Law Society Awards 2019. If I'm honest with you, that I think a lot of that is down to what I've done with the business, but more what the business does really. Bringing through lots of trainee solicitors for a young firm, it was a big step for us and a big overhead, but I wanted to develop our own people and give people a chance to get into the profession. And, we've done a lot of work experience, work with the university and also local colleges. And also we brought through a lot of apprentices. So I think that resonated with the people giving that award, as well as all the charity work that we've done, with Right to Will schemes with St Richard Hospice and things like that. So I think that award was sort of testament to the work we've done on that side, rather than me saying I'm the world's best lawyer, which I'm not. So that was good. And then the one I'm really proud of, a couple we're really proud of actually. Kate Collins is nominated for Trainee Solicitor of the Year. Coming back to St Richard, she does all of that work, all of those free wills that we do. So really proud that she was put forward to that. She's actually a solicitor in the team now, came right through with us, and hopefully will be with us for some years to come. So really proud of Kate. And with that one as well, for this year, we were nominated for the best use of technology within a law firm within Worcestershire. And I think, to be honest with you, the last couple of weeks is testament to that. I don't think there'll be, some of the firms are much bigger than us, but I don't think anyone would have been able to move as seamlessly as we have to move at home, move all of our work at home. I think that's testament to how well we've done on that side. And it was something that was really important to me, that we would be innovative and that would be the forefront of what we were trying to achieve. So, but yeah, we were proud of that one. We've only been nominated for that one, so hopefully we,
Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens in that one. But
unfortunately, the awards have been postponed. Planning on doing them at some point, but yeah. Anyway, there we go. So hopefully a good night to look forward to. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely something to look forward to. Right. Well, thank you so much for joining me again. Really appreciated it, guys. I hope you found that really useful. Some great tips from Andrew there. So if you are a business owner and you're just looking for some help and advice on your terms and conditions, your employment law, if you've not got a shareholder agreement in place or you need to just review yours, get in touch with Andrew at Bradley Haynes Law. And on the other side, if you are working in property or have a property portfolio, give them a call, see what they might be able to help with at this time. And if you've got any ideas moving forward for how you want to structure your portfolio, then I'm sure they'd be happy to help you. So it's Andrew at bradleyhayneslaw.co.uk. Website is bradleyhayneslaw.co.uk. Local firm based in Worcester. And thank you again so much. I've really enjoyed that, and really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me on my calls.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jenny.
No problem.